Well, hello there, YouTube, and welcome to another live oil painting video. In this video, I'm actually streaming live, but I have some pre-recorded right now. It's because of my internet. So sometimes when I do a stream, as you may have noticed, I lose internet connection. So it's easier for me to do a pre-recorded video in this style. So you've got the painting, you've got the palette, you've got all the colors. I'll talk about the colors once again. This I think will be the third, layer for this master study. The link to this photo reference will be in the description box of this video. The original painting was created by Carlos Duran, who is the teacher of John Singer Sargent. The first time I started this painting, I actually made a mistake and thought that it was John Singer Sargent that did it. That's how close their artwork can appear. So you're going to see the me camera down here. Let's see if I can point at myself. The little me camera right there throughout the stream, just to make this a little bit more personable so I can talk to you directly. But I have already started using this camera a while ago for the online students. So all of that said, let me talk about the main topic here for this video. The middle is everything, almost. Hey Sod HD, greetings. So what do I mean by the middle is everything? I'm going to talk about it as I'm oiling out this painting. Those of you in the online classes already know what I mean when I say that the middle is everything, or at least almost everything. And that is that most of the work, most of the heavy lifting happens in the middle stages. So right now what I'm doing is I'm oiling out the painting. Notice that this is really light and this is all of a sudden really dark. And that's because I'm just adding an extra layer of medium. This is a 50-50 mix of cold pressed linseed oil and spike lavender oil. Though you could do this with just regular linseed oil, half regular linseed oil and half any solvent that you choose, whether it's odorless mineral spirits or even turpentine. You can do this with. Hey Jeff, Yen Ko. Hey Sherry, thanks for watching from New York. So about the schedule with these live painting sessions, I'm going to keep doing them, but just like anything in life, when you're doing something at a specific time all the time, it's not possible if your schedule is a little bit all over the place. So schedule is a little all over the place right now. I apologize for that, but I will be doing these streams ideally on Tuesdays. So it's usually on Tuesdays. Now I oiled out the painting to bring back the luminosity that the painting had when it was wet. So many times painters that are new to oil painting, when they see their paintings dry and they look really faded out, they think that they did something wrong, that something went wrong in there, and nothing went wrong. What it is, especially if you're working on a linen, is that the oil in the layer of film will actually start to be absorbed by the ground underneath. This is called sinking in. You can look this up on the internet if you don't believe me. This is called sinking in, and this is going to happen with most of your oil paintings. They're just going to sink in. Every time you oil out a painting like I did, you want to actually use less oil. Sometimes things will come off, like a little bit from the nose might have come off there, but it's not a big deal. I'm actually using a pretty used up sponge, but it's fine. It's not like I'm worried about a lot of it coming off or anything like that. If you're worried about the materials, then use gloves when you're doing this, but this painting is dry for the most part. You don't really see me touching this part of the sponge. I'm holding the sponge from the side. So the next thing to mention before we start to actually paint on this is that when you do oil out your paintings like this, leave your paintings flat. Even when you varnish your paintings, let them dry flat. I know it's taking me a while to get the painting, but don't worry, I'm going to start painting soon. Leave your painting flat, because sometimes this can dry. You can have a little drip that dries. Hey Marie. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you liked the little webcam. Oh, all right. So let's. Why don't we start with this color here, since I've lost some of it. And I think the last time I filmed this was a while ago, actually. Though you actually saw the pre-recorded video of this sometime after I filmed it. Um, this is going to be still kind of using the same colors I was speaking about, the three most useful colors. Burnt Sienna, Ultramarine Blue, and then White. But of course I will use some other colors here and there. A little difference between the colors I have here and the colors that are usually on my palette. I ran out of Viridian, so I've got a big tube of sap green, and I'm just going to use the sap green as my green. It's not as, let's say, opaque as Viridian, and it's not as blue as Viridian. But with some adjusting, it'll work just fine. So right now we're just testing this out. And after you oil out your painting for the first time, like I did here, you don't want to, well, you can, but you don't really need any extra medium beyond that. I'm gonna sit back. And this is just a warm-up. Always have a warm-up. Sometimes I'll warm up on the forehead just to get the nerves out of the way. Some of you may not get nervous at all when you're working on a painting again. Hey, Jomar. And the other pre-recorded videos that I filmed have this little mini camera. I think I've got 2 of them that I haven't uploaded yet. One of them, I'm actually going to introduce a new series of paintings. So that's going to be kind of fun. So I'm just testing out that little spot there. And obviously there's a whole bunch of subtlety that is not in the painting yet, but I just want to warm up somewhere. And let's add some more of the background information now. So I am not the best person when it comes to taking care of brushes, but I do have some brushes that last a long time. And I think a lot of that has to do with the brand of brushes. I like to use, now this is not the brush that I'm talking about, but I like to use bristle brushes for the most part. And I like to use filberts, and the brand that I like is typed in the description box for you. I am not sponsored by any brand. No one's paying me to tell you this, but I really do like Brush Grand Prix. Right now I'm just mixing up a dark for the background. I'm going with Cadmium Orange, Ultramarine Blue to get a nice dark. I'll throw in some Alizarin here and there just to create a nice brown. Okay, so that looks about good. Now it may be a touch too warm, so I'll add more of the sap green. And some colors are missing, like I had Cerulean Blue in place there, but lately I'm a little bit lax on the colors. Now if I'm running out of an expensive color, I'm just not going to buy it for a while until I really need it. I have a huge tube of Ultramarine Blue, so I'm going to just go through that. I tend to go through little phases now and then. Sometimes I'll be really strict about a certain palette. Other times I won't really be that strict. I want some of the little brush strokes to show through in the background. So this is live, so feel free to ask any art-related questions. If you're watching this after the stream happened, I'm sorry that you missed it. I know that I didn't announce ahead of time that I would do this stream. Just sometimes I just really don't know when I have time to do a stream. The only things that are really super set in stone are the online classes. That doesn't change. But like I said, I will do these streams on occasion whenever I can. What I was getting at is the chat. I enabled chat replay, so you should be able to watch the chat unfold in real time, as if you were watching this live. AANAWN. Why do you put so much paint on the palette? Isn't it a waste? It could be a waste, sure. But this is a glass palette. This is a 12 by 16 glass palette. When I'm done for the day, my box isn't near me, but I'll actually put this in a paint box and I'll put it in a freezer and it can keep for a very long time. So the paint isn't going to dry during the time that I'm painting on the palette, so it gives me a nice open time to work on this without the risk of my colors drying. But yeah, I've done that. I've left colors on my palette and they've dried, and I, in hindsight, I shouldn't have done that. And yeah, I did the wrong thing there, but not in this instance. So if you want to use a lot of paint, which I recommend you do, always have as much paint as you can. And you don't want to use up your paint by letting it sit and dry, then put this in a acrylic stay wet Masterson box, which is an airtight plastic box. If you don't have one of those, just get this thing and just put it in the freezer. It's very likely that your paints will not dry on you in the freezer. I'm adding the dark for the hair. And then another tip from a really awesome guy who took a class with me, in-person class, Leonard, showed me this little trick where in the box he put like a little cap like this and a little cotton ball inside of the cap with clove oil, trapped it in an airtight box, and apparently that keeps his paints from drying. So Leonard, if you do watch this, shout out to you once again for that idea. Hopefully we paint together sometime soon. Hey, Asleep. Oh, thank you, thank you. And the series of paintings that I'm going to create, this is actually one of them. So this size of canvas, I am, these are 8 by 10s. I will be creating a online store. I'll probably just start with my Etsy for now, but I intend to sell these. These are so much easier to store. And if you're wondering about the originality and all that stuff, as long as you sign a painting, let's just say the painting is done, say, prior to 1920. And you sign the painting with your name, your date, as long as you put after the artist. So for example, when I finish this, I'm going to put my name, the year, and then after Carlos Duran. It is perfectly acceptable. More than acceptable. I'm just making a warm gray for this touch of light over here. And of course, all of this stuff here. This brush is garbage. This is like an old bristle brush that I guess I shouldn't even mention the brand after saying that, but it's an old brush. Let's just call it that old brush that you probably got on sale somewhere. It's a piece of junk. I found it in my storage stuff not that long ago, and I've been using it. Sometimes I won't even clean it, but it does fine. With my brushes, what I do is I put them in a Ziploc bag and put that in the freezer. So it might be a good idea to have your own art freezer. This is lead white that I'm using here. I have lead white up here, titanium white over here, this little thing of white paint that's titanium white. And I found that there are some uses for it beyond the scope of what I gave it credit for in the past. So when Carlos Duran was teaching his students, he was notorious for being kind of a tough teacher, and he would get students painting right away. Instead of doing very careful transfer drawings and things like that. And we know that Impressionism was a big thing starting to develop already back in the days that Duran and Sargent were there. Of course, Duran definitely predates most of Impressionism, but it was really a big idea. It was kind of new to them, of course. Many painters in the past, like Rembrandt, they would call this grand manner painting. In the past, they would paint directly with color in this kind of way. Let me see what this looks like. I also look at this on the screen. Let's see, this is a little off. And this is fun to be able to build a painting like this instead of having a careful underpainting there, which, of course, as you know now, I do still use underpaintings. The Bouguereau, there's no way I would have started that without an underpainting. That was hard. If you've seen that, that was the last. See, I went right to titanium white. I'll explain that decision afterwards. But anyway, yeah, something as difficult as a Bouguereau. Do yourself a favor. Do an underpainting or do a transfer drawing. I should have done a transfer drawing after watching and rewatching. I'm pushing his beard up a little bit so it fits, so that this fits. Know that I'm moving that up. But anyway, I will use a transfer drawing, especially if the situation calls for it. Now, why did I use titanium white with Indian yellow? That's actually better, in my opinion, than using straight cadmium yellow for a bright yellow like this. And this is because I'm trying to get like a deep, intense, rich yellow that's somewhat reminiscent of Naples yellow. Genuine Naples yellow, as you see there. That's probably really close to genuine Naples yellow. Genuine Naples yellow is probably, I can't tell you exactly, but probably what Carlos Duran used for this bright goldish yellow. It is an old yellow that was used a lot in the past. Very strong and vibrant, but not industrial looking like cadmium yellow. Consider all oil painting materials to be toxic, even something as safe as burnt sienna. Treat them all the same. Keep it off your fingers. Don't eat when you're painting. Don't touch the rim of your drinks. If you're drinking while you're painting, because, I mean, let's be honest, we're gonna drink water and stuff while we're painting. Just don't grab your water bottle by the top. Or don't grab your coffee cup or teacup by the top. You'll be fine as long as you keep the paints away from your mouth. Okay, so next I've got the dark of his hair, and then we got to go into the middle stages for the face. Everything though is kind of in the middle stages. Why are the middle stages so important? I probably should have spoke about this earlier since it's the topic of this video, but the middle stages, and I think I did speak briefly about it, is where most of the heavy lifting is done. So most of the hard stuff, like the difficult stuff, that looks just like the model kind of stuff occurs, and that's a little bit of raw umber there. Which I use mainly as a filler to just add to the dark. But anyway, The middle stages entail not the fine rendering of something, though it can lead up to it, which it usually does. It involves big planes being subdivided into smaller planes. So once again, remember this is live. I don't mind asking or answering questions while I'm painting. I added the Me camera that you see there. I'm using my webcam. This is the camera what you're looking at here. This is the camera that I used to use for the palette. So yeah, now you can see what the colors really look like. And you're gonna see how I move about the picture, how I just move around in my chair. I usually will stand behind me, which is why there's nothing behind me, because the last time I filmed a video like this, I bumped into my camera and it took a pretty steep fall. The middle stages carry most of the weight because those middle values, those middle planes that rest just underneath of the finishing touches, that is where all of the structure lies. It's like, think about it almost like, now I don't really know much about construction, but think about it like you would imagine, because that's all I can do. I've never worked construction in my life, but you can imagine that a house is not built with the doorknob first. A house is not constructed by the window curtain or the kitchen cabinet as the first thing. A house is constructed through the foundation, the superstructure, the scaffolding of the house, meaning the framework of the house, and then you have the flooring, and then you have the drywall of the house, and then all of the little details, the finishing stuff, rests on top of the drywall. Rests like, you know what I mean. House paint is on the drywall. The flooring is on the foundation of the house. All of that foundational stuff is important, but you got to think about the drywall, the electrical work, the plumbing, the electricity. All of that stuff would be like the middle stages if we're making an analogy with painting. That stuff is very important. That's what makes a house livable. Some of us don't have the features like central air conditioning, and you just kind of learn to live with it. Some of us don't have certain things, but we've got a roof, and you consider the roof as one of the middle stages of the construction. You can't really be without it. Even though there's some roofs that are kind of about to come down. You know what I mean? It's a constructive process. Painting is a building process. And because it's a building process, that's why the middle stages are so important. And that's it. I mean, that's all really that I need to say about it. Everything else is just me repeating the same thing to you. But now what I'll do is just keep painting. I'm going to try to leave a space there for my pinky. So I don't have black on my palette, so I'm constantly going between alizarin, sap, ultramarine blue, dioxazine purple to get my dark colors. And you know who was known for telling people to use a lot of paint, to put a lot of paint on their palette? Sargent. The artist that we all know of. At least, if we don't, feel free to ask me. I'll tell you all about Sargent. All about the stuff I know, at least. Sargent would say the thicker you paint, the more it flows. He would always warn against having just little dabs of color. You need to use a lot of color. Let's see. Alright. The middle stages are hard. It's very hard. I mean, all of this is hard. Starting it, the middle stages, then finishing it. The middle stages definitely are the most time consuming. You're constantly revisiting old things, like the plane underneath of his eyelid. Now this moving back and forth is going to bug me, though you probably can't see it, the moving that is. I'm going to clip it just a little bit there. Now all the skin tones are kind of just gonna be this little pile in here where I'm gonna be taking stuff from. With no real intentional order. Now I'm going to switch to the sables. There's a lot of work that's going to have to be done with the sables here. I do recommend you use a larger palette. As large as possible. I just have a palette this size because I need it to fit the camera angle. Speaking of palettes, we got a question about palettes. So what do you think about limited palette? Do you usually prefer to mix colors with just a few paint colors or have a full palette? That varies, the answer to that question. Lately, I prefer to have a more broad palette. So, like I have here, this palette is arranged in a color wheel. So, for example, it's the reds, the yellows, the greens, the blues, and then the violet, and at the end. So I think I feel the color out. So if I'm thinking in my mind, like if I'm thinking like red, my hand automatically like goes towards the red section of this color wheel. If I'm thinking of like a gray, then I know that I need to cross between some complementary colors to make a brown and then cool it off. There's other ways to make a gray, like orange and blue will make a gray really easily. So I like to think of it in terms of a color wheel these days, though in the past I have used limited palettes, like the Zorin limited palette. I've used that. I've used like 4 color palettes. I've used 6 color palettes, 8 color palettes. I've used 22 color palettes. This is less than 22. But these days I like to arrange it in terms of a color wheel. Now obviously if you're doing a master study like this, you don't need 22 colors or 18 colors. But it's a good idea to learn how to obtain these subtle colors with an extended palette instead of relying on the ease of a limited palette. But very good question. Do we have more questions like that? So I've got 2 sables that I'm going to be using. Though one is a little more beat up than the other. For light and for dark. Now here's where I gotta slow down. Pay attention to things. Like the shape of his iris. His iris is huge. Don't forget to breathe when you're painting. So the idea here is moving from big shapes to smaller shapes. That's the goal. That's the order of operations, so to speak, here. Hey, Jazz W. Glad you like the little webcam. It's funny because I've got one video that is going to be uploaded soon, and in that video I introduced the webcam, and in this one I haven't really introduced it. It's just kind of here. But the reason is I want these videos to be more personable. I do want you to see it's not just like I'm not just a talking hand. But I think this will be the first time you actually see me at work throughout the whole thing. But I've already done this like a couple times, especially for the online classes. I've done, I don't even know, like 2 weeks now of this. A little nerve-wracking at first. I even said that right. Like trying to get his eye right. Just throw in the highlight. I'm not a fan of the highlight right where it is on his eyes. But I'll just paint it in there. Okay. So next thing, eyebrows are darker. Still, I constantly see things in his eyes I don't like. So a lot of the struggling happens in the middle stages too. Like I said, it's all difficult. But some things are more demanding than others. Like the beginning is really fluid, is really kind of like low maintenance. You just got to make sure that you set up properly for the further stages. The further you get, the more complicated it is. But of course, I'm here to make that more simple for you. Throughout all the years I've been painting, I'd say the number one thing that I don't pay attention to enough that I should with the middle stages is that this is not the last layer. In the past, I just did not know how to like get that alla prima mindset out of my head. Alla prima this, alla prima that. I would almost think like alla prima chicken sandwich, like alla prima everything in life, like get it all done in one layer kind of mindset. It's totally not fun to have that kind of pressure on yourself. However, I will contradict that statement with because every statement should have a counterexample. Is that there's a time and place for alla prima. Portrait is just not one of them that you want to constantly think alla prima. However, landscape and still life, and the occasional portrait sketch, like I said, there's got to be some contradictions there. The occasional portrait sketch is not a bad idea. So it's a mindset thing. If you're working on a long-term painting, you have to have a different mindset with it. You have to be more patient with it. Give yourself the chance to get the thing wrong. Because if you're not being bold and making mistakes, you're never going to fix those mistakes because you haven't made them yet. And the way you learn is by fixing those mistakes. This color, by the way, this is what I get when I clean off the palette with a palette knife. I mix it all together and put it there. There you go, an alla prima chicken sandwich. Oops, that's not good. So I don't want this forehead to get gray. It needs to be like a warm. There we go. Like a warm gray, brown, some sort. Alright, so now I see that when I sit back, this dark needs to get way more intense. And this is a oversimplification that I think Durand did on purpose. Basically, all of this is almost like one brush stroke. And I'm looking at, it looks like I'm looking at you, but I'm looking at my screen because your camera is actually on my laptop. So I'm looking at the eyebrows. And in the middle stages, you're going to have more patience because you're going to be adding things and then taking them out, thinking you've got it correct, realizing you got it wrong, and you'll be chasing things. So there's some cool colors there that I don't know if I want them to be there or not. They're going to be in question a lot in the middle stages. Why they're so dang difficult. One way you can think about it, that is probably an oversimplification, but think about the middle stages as the size of the shapes that you're adding in. Because you're adding more information and it just gets more and more precise with the more information you add. But at the same time, you're also addressing the bigger shapes too. You're making modifications or refinements. Because every time you put in new information and you sit back, you stand back, you'll notice something different. Because you're seeing the painting through another perspective. And the middle stages is also that point in the painting where things are pulled together. Sometimes there's a relief when it starts to look like the thing you intended it to look like. I add some lead tin yellow. I'm punching up the chroma a little bit for the lightest planes. So now I'm going to ask a question for everyone. This is going to be where I ask the crowd question. I don't know how many of us are here. I'm not looking at the streaming software, or I'm not looking at the numbers. I don't know how many of us are here, but question for everyone: who is your favorite old master prior to, say, 1950? Your favorite old master prior to 1950? And if you ask me that on Tuesday, you'll probably get a different answer on Wednesday. So that answer changes a lot for me. But at the moment, I think my favorite old master prior to 1950 is probably John William Waterhouse. I like Rembrandt, of course, and all the Baroque painters. But the more I think about Impressionism, the more I feel like the Peripheralite should have got the credit for it. Now I'm going to do something risky. I'm adding yellow to the skin tones, and I'm going to actually kill it off a little bit, just a little bit, with purple. Now, you don't need to do this with a limited palette, because you don't really have any bright, vibrant colors that you need to calm down. But if you have a cadmium yellow, you do have to neutralize it somehow, and I used this complement. Let's see, Jazz W. Sargent. Sargent's your favorite? Awesome. Hey, Augustin. Hey, it's good to see you again. Just saw him on Zoom. Great job with that Sargent study, by the way, Augustin. Terry, Rembrandt, Gustave, Dor, from S. Lee. I gotta look that one up. Leone Delazio. Another one. Mario Ruda. Oh, Drewer. Hey, Stephanie. Yeah, Drewer is a good one. He was, I think he was known as like the first superstar in the art world. He was so famous in his lifetime. I think, I don't know, I don't remember that much. I should know more of my art history, but I think some of his fame was because around the time the printing press was invented. Velasquez, it's an excellent response there. Jazz W. I'm kind of feeling out the planes at this moment. I'm not really like, this structure of this is about 45 degrees relative to the tangent line of this that's 15 degrees polar coordinates. I'm not thinking like that. I'm just walking my way around the form. Andrew, yours got auto-corrected? Oh, let's see, which one was yours? Oh yeah. Yeah, that always happens with Sergeant, that auto-corrected to like a Sergeant officer. Goya. Van Eyck? Awesome. Wasn't Van Eyck one of the first to use oil paint? I think? Unless we're thinking Van Dyke. Because Van Eyck and Van Dyke are not the same. Alright, so now that the comments have slowed down, I'm going to add something to this question. And that's going to be... Alright, everyone that commented. And if you're still thinking about who your favorite artist is prior to 1950, then go ahead, keep... you can answer, even though we're going to be answering another question soon. Alright, so here's the next part. The artist that you named, if you named Sargent, what's your favorite painting that he did? If you named Velasquez, same thing. what was your favorite painting that he did? Don't know how to read your name. 1.618. Let's see. Van Eyck, pretty sure didn't invent it, but made it standard throughout Europe. Yeah, I heard that he was one of the first, I think, to use it or make it popular. Yeah, I don't know if he invented it, but yeah. Alberto, what kind of medium do you use? What do you think about liquid? I use, for the most part, I use Neo-Megilp from Gamblin. Gamblin brand Neo-Megilp. It is a thixotropic medium, meaning it's like a jelly medium, similar to liquid, but it doesn't dry as fast. I like liquid. I don't mind it. It's just I've been using Neo-Megilp more. However, if liquid was on sale and Neo-Megilp wasn't, I'd probably just get liquid. But one thing to note is that it does dry a lot faster, especially liquid original. So remember, the next part of that question, everyone that answered your favorite artist prior to 1950. What's your favorite painting created by that artist? So ideally, if you don't mind, repeat the name of the artist. So for example, if I say, let's say El Jaleo, some may not know that Sargent painted that. So if your favorite painting from Sargent is El Jaleo, then let us know. And if you need to Google painting names by those artists, that's totally fine, because that El Jaleo was just the first one in my head from Sargent, because I don't even remember a fraction of the names of those those paintings. Hey Jazz W, favorite painting is Flaming June by Frederick Langton. And what I like about this, since I'm doing the live chat replay, is you'll be able to look these names up. Because I don't expect everyone's going to know these names, because I'm not going to know all the names here. This is going to be good for you to look up. Hey, hippie artist. Oh, don't worry, you don't keep missing the streams. You're here. I actually, I didn't announce that I would even do this one, this stream. I was actually going to just pre-record it, and then I realized that I was alone in the house here, so I had enough time that I would be able to do this stream. But the thing is, I have to pre-record videos now at basically any hour that I can. Let's see. S. Lee Dante Inferno Collection. Gotta look that one up. I don't know. Master and his pupils, 1914. Is that a Rembrandt? That seems kind of Rembrandty. Let's see. 1.618. You love liquid, but you're bad with cleaning your brushes. So you've only been using it for the first couple layers. Started coating your brushes with safflower, white, lampblack at the end of each session. Not a bad idea. I used to use safflower oil to clean my wooden palette. My favorite palette ever. But as you know, I can't use it with these streams. So I constantly am sitting there and I'm squinting and I'm looking at this image. Always stand back and squint. I'm just sitting back and squinting. Always trying to find the most obvious incorrect thing. Hey, Crafty Zone. Let's see. So, Saluka, Van Eyck. I don't know the name in English either, but it's okay. Your comment is going to be saved in this live chat forever. I'm just messing with you. It's going to be in the live chat replay. Let's see. Or take your glasses off. Okay, so yeah, if I take my glasses off, of course I can't really see much. But the funny thing is, you want to blur your eyes to see color, and you want to squint your eyes to see value, or to eliminate detail. Actually, both squinting and blurring eliminate detail. So squint your eyes to see value, blur your eyes to see color. So when I blur my eyes, I see through the lens of an impressionist painter, going on surrealist. When I have my glasses on and I squint, I see what a realist painter would see. So blur your eyes for the impressionist painter, squint your eyes for the realist painter. But you need them both, because the impressionist painter is important to give you an education on how to use color. A lot of people think impressionism has to do with fluffy brushstrokes and things looking all expressive and stuff like that, and that's not what impressionism is about. It's about color. Hey, Glenda Renoir. Oh, let's see. Albert's self-portrait at 28. Oh, I gotta look that one up, though I'm sure I've seen it. Yeah, both have value, squinting and blurring your eyes. One thing to mention, it hasn't happened yet, but if it does, I need to mention this. With this webcam setup, I cannot bring out the Super Chat cat, Super Chat Grumpy Cat. That's because I am playing with fire, with copyright with that. So, what I can do is bring Super Chat Grumpy Cat in the Facebook group where it's not monetized, because then I don't have any problems with copyright, right? So if I do get a super chat, not that anyone has to, I'm just happy that you're here. I cannot bring Grumpy Cat, and I have no idea what to do as a reward. Of course, I'm not going to jump up and do a dance or something like that, but I'll have to think about it. Let's see, hippie artist. Oh, I don't even know how to pronounce that name. All right, that's a name I've got to look up. All right, so I'm sitting back. It's always like, what's the thing that bothers me the most? Hey Pilar, it looks like whatever you commented was blocked by YouTube. Obviously, my hand is here. You see that I didn't actually block that. So I don't know. It looks like a computer code. I'm not sure. Not sure. Alright, so sitting back. What was I looking at? Structure of his face. Structure. And structure is, oh, look at another one. Delazio, Victoria, something of Battenberg. Alright, that's another one I gotta look up. So this is good. This is contributing to the live chat. So those of you watching this in the future as a pre-recorded video, definitely check out the names in the comments. Now that the chat has slowed down a little bit, I have yet thought of another extension to this line of inquiry. And that is going to be, now that you've named the artist that you really admire prior to 1950, and you have mentioned one of your favorite artworks about them, now I would like you to mention an attribute to their artwork that you admire the most. And I'm purposely being vague about this because I want to leave room for interpretation. So, for example, my favorite artist I chose was John William Waterhouse. Hey, Libertas, thank you. I chose John William Waterhouse. I'd say my favorite painting of his would probably be, I don't know how to pronounce it, but the Ophelia, I don't remember the name of it, but the one with the woman on the boat, that's my favorite one of his. Also his most famous one, but what I admire the most, the best attribute I can say with John William Waterhouse is his layering ability. His ability to take on a complicated subject and do it with ease. I know that he overpainted things. He painted things over and over again, not in a negative way. I mean, he literally changed things in his paintings a lot. But I like his ability. I admire his ability to take something so complicated and make it seem easy. And his compositions. His compositions I really admire the most. So you can answer this in many ways. So this part gets even more complicated. So again, you named your favorite artist prior to 1950, and you named one of your favorite paintings of theirs. Now think about what is your favorite attribute associated with this artist. Many of you will probably answer Rembrandt's ability to capture life in his paintings. Others will mention Sargent's brushstrokes, but whatever that may be, definitely feel free to let us know. I am very curious. Oh, here we go. Stephanie Thompson, super chats are meant for all of your great instructions. Grand Prix was a fun but not necessary. Thank you. Oh, thank you for the super chat. I don't know what to do as a thank you for the super chat. All I can say is thank you directly from me to the camera right over there. So thank you, Stephanie Thompson, for your super chat. If I could think of some fun thing to do, I would think of it, but can't think of it on the spot. So thank you so much for the super chat. It helps my YouTube channel out and me out so much. Those of you that are new to the streams and are wondering what super chats are, those are donations that you can give to your favorite YouTube people, YouTube creators, or just someone that you watch their live streams on YouTube. Hey, Augustin, you like the big brush strokes, Sargent's big, bold brush strokes. Awesome. That I think I do admire a lot about Sargent, but there's many things. That is one very valid one. Lee, the kind of imagination, very well put together art from Gustave Doré. Oh, that's a good one. The creativity involved in his paintings. How bold he was. That's a good one, Augustin. See, so I'm gonna have to go unlock a door in like 10 minutes. So the wife is coming home, so I will be opening a door soon. What was I just doing? Oh, there's value under here. Hey, hippie artists don't know before 1050. No, I said 1950. So I changed the lock a long time ago and lost the second key for it to the upstairs part of the studio. So I'm gonna have to unlock that door soon. Let's see. This is a great conversation. Stephanie Thompson, Drewer's rendering of long curly hair. Never thought of that. I always thought of his how he drew hands. So hippie artist, 1950, like the reality and emotions he expressed in his work. Which one were you talking about? Let's see. Jean Gannett. Ooh, this is a good line of inquiry, like I said. Jerry, Rembrandt seemed to paint with light. Very good. Speaking of painting with light and Dutch masters, I haven't heard anyone mention Vermeer. What's going on? Where's Vermeer's admirers? We just finished a really long and highly educational Vermeer master study in the online classes. ANLMB. Oh, thank you. It seems complicated, but if you can, let's put it this way. Anyone, and I do believe this, anyone can learn to draw. And if you know how to draw, you can paint. So, by extension, anyone can learn how to paint. It's just proper teaching, the right time that goes into it. And I believe you can learn this. And this is about as complicated as it gets, by the way. Doing a master study is not easy. It's a very educational thing to do. You can learn so much, but it's very hard to recreate a work of art done by someone else because there's so much involved in it. It's not like painting from a photo reference where we can leave some things up to interpretation. I think I heard her park. So I'm going to go and open a door. So I'm going to take this webcam out for a second and I'm going to open a door. I will be right back. Saw Vermeer's work in person, amazing, but I didn't pull the emotional strings so many other painters do. Well, yeah, Vermeer was kind of more of a intellectual, I think, in how he painted. So the internet was struggling for a second, but it looks like my internet came back. Like I said, in the middle stages, you're adding stuff, and then you're subtracting it, and then you think you're right, and then you realize you're wrong. So it takes a lot of patience. Let's see, Sherry, Vermeer was too controlled for you. Okay, I can see that. Again, with more of that, how he painted was more, I guess, I don't know the word. Controlled, very tight, like you said, controlled. So from Andrew Lee, Advice for approaching the messy middle phase and painting beyond it to finalize. I always feel like I'm messing up as I'm in the three-quarter finish to finishing stages. ISG. That's a good question. That's a very good question. And I think a lot of us struggle with this, and myself included. Getting beyond the middle stages, and this is a stage that I refer to as the impossible subtleties. We're not there yet with this painting, but we will get to that stage at some point, because I do intend to film every painting session on this painting. How to move past the middle stages into the finishing stages. Let's think about it this way. Let's think about the finishing stages as the extension of the middle stages. And I know this seems kind of like, well, of course he was going to say that, but a lot of it is up here. A lot of it is psychological. Not that I know much about psychology, but a lot of it is, as soon as you think you're approaching the finishing stages of a painting, it's like a switch changes. Like a switch is flipped in your head, and you start to decorate. I'm not saying you, but me. Other people start to decorate, and they stop constructing. So think about this like that building analogy that I was saying, like building a house. Because once we get into the finishing stages, instead of working on those superstructures, we really like the way that doorknob looks, or we want a specific carpet, or that curtain goes great with that couch. And all of a sudden we don't have working air conditioning, and we don't have all of a sudden there's a leak in the roof. So there's a problem with the foundation if we think about, if we think of the finishing stages as something other than an extension of the middle stages. So think about it just as an extension of the middle stages. Like, for example, even in this stage, I'm moving his eyebrows around because I don't think I had his eyebrows correct. He looks more, I don't know what the word, he looks more angry in the original. He has kind of like a, why are you looking at me kind of look to him. And I kind of didn't want to capture that at first, I guess, but I'm chasing it now. So let's see. Hey Glenda. So from Hippie Artist, there was an exception of portraits like Vermeer did at the time, unlike when Lucian Freud painted Queen Elizabeth, she refused to take it. Oof. I think Vermeer also, he had a rough, kind of had a rough life. I don't know if that was part of, well, I mean, obviously it is. You can't take the artist out of, away from the art. You can't take the, you can't separate, which is why I want this webcam, this me camera to be a part of these videos now. Because you can't separate the painter from the paintings. You just can't. Like, you have to consider the painter's personality, who they are, and everything. And Vermeer went through a lot. He had so many kids, so many expenses to deal with, and I don't know if that may have contributed to how he painted. I suspect it did. So for example, like you want to sneak up to the finishing stages, and the word sneak up to it is how my teachers would tell me. This is what my teachers would tell me. You sneak up to the finish. You're building it little by little. Let's see. So SG, I gotta look that name up. I don't even know how to pronounce that one. But thanks for sharing. Alright, so I'm sitting back again. Always trying to find something that's different. Now clearly there appears, at least on my computer screen, there appears to be like a warmer tint to this. But I think that's just my cameras or my light. I'm looking at this, I don't see it that differently. So the more subtle it becomes, the smaller the shapes are going to be. Oh, hey, Andrew, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I used to have a little toy cat that I would have here for a special thank you, so I don't really know what to say other than thank you directly. Thank you, Andrew Lee, for the super chat. And he has written to us, thanks for taking the time to answer. That should have been a super chat question. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm always happy to be able to answer a question confidently. Sometimes I don't know, I really don't know the answer, but I'll always tell you if I don't know the answer to a question. So when I blur my eyes, or let's say I squint my eyes, let's squint. This shape looks different. And I'm painting what I feel it should be. There's kind of a little bit of intuition here. Underneath of here, I have a piece of paper. I like to use Viva brand paper. So I'm just kind of wiping some excess paint off the brush from time to time. A hippie artist. Let's see, you just started the MAJ portrait and struggling with her. Never painted realistic before. Well, reality is at the heart of, I think, everything. Nature, as Nelson Shanks would say, nature in its incredible vastness and variety is really the only subject of which an artist can truly work from. And I'm paraphrasing how he said it, I don't know. But Rembrandt would also say nature is the one true master. So painting realistic, you can have a very loose painting that is super realistic. And by realistic, I mean naturalistic. Like looking like you're actually looking at a person. And then you can have some really tight, highly rendered paintings that look like Disney's, Pixar's, whatever, something. They're super realistic, but they're not very humanistic. They don't look human. So the word realistic has so many different interpretations, but from a naturalistic point of view, like painting something to look like something that you observe in nature, whether it's a still life or a portrait or whatever the subject matter is, a lot of it has to do with being able to reason with shapes. The closer you get to making something look highly realistic, naturalistic, the more poetic in a way it becomes. It just feels right. It feels right relative to spending forever rendering and rendering and then realizing that the eye is a little bit too low or something, which could be the case here, but I think we measured that out. That should be fine. I don't even know how long I've been streaming here. I was gonna stream until my wife showed up. Oh wow, we've been here for an hour and 20 something minutes. So I should probably do a few last minute little things here and then we'll probably end it. But like I said, you'll see more videos from me. I've already got at least 2 other videos already pre-recorded. Now, as far as the live streams, can't quite tell you exactly when I can do them, but just know I'll throw in the occasional live stream. And the newer videos that are coming out are gonna have this little webcam so you can see me talking to you directly. And I'm not going to put in the highlight on his nose just yet. I don't want to close up the form so much. And you can still see some of the tone of the canvas underneath. So we worked all around the painting, starting from the background, the hair, and then into the eyes, and then all of this stuff around. I'm going to move the canvas or the painting so you can see it with less distortion. I'll move it so my camera doesn't get in the way. And there it is. That's what the painting looks like with less distortion. Obviously, it's not going to be exactly like the original at this point, nor will it ever be exactly like the original. That's why it is a master study. Not calling myself the master, obviously, but it's a master study, meaning it's a study from a masterful painting. That's what I mean by master study. But anyway, this is going to be the point in the stream where I ask if there are any last minute questions. And at the same time, thank you so much to those of you that gave me super chat. So thank you, Andrew Lee, and thank you, Stephanie Thompson. Well, thank you, Stephanie. Thanks, Leonie. I'm glad this is a interesting stream. Hey, Alberto. Oh, good. I'm glad that you've learned so much. I'm glad that this can be helpful. Oh, thanks, Augustin. I'll see you again on Friday on our Zoom. Andrew Lee. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you, SG. So while I'm waiting to see if there are any last minute comments, I want to stand up. It's important to always stand up or stand back or move back as far as you can to see your painting from a distance. I'm just standing back here by the chair, trying to see. And this is, if you are wondering what this is paper towel. It looks fine to me. I still need to round this face out a little bit more next time. Hey, Grace. Grace's art. Oh, thank you. Let's see, hippie artist. If I mess up on an underpainting by making it too dark, do I start over or keep going? Oh, keep going. Of course, keep going. If you make it too dark, that means that you're going to have to keep painting thicker with your lights over top of that. But that's not a problem. I mean, then you can add more impasto. If you paint too thin, then you can glaze. So it's not a problem. You can always adjust. ASJ, watch the movie. Oh, it's a movie. I thought that was an artist's name. All right, I'll take a note of it. Thanks. All right, so it looks like we don't have any last minute questions. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Remember, if you are interested in taking your online art education with me further, please check out my online classes on patreon.com/upariartist. Oh, he was an artist. Okay. I will look that up. Thank you, SG. So again, if you're interested in taking your online art education with me further, please check out the link to my online classes posted as the pinned comment in the comment section of this video, also typed out for you in the description box of this video. The online classes start out at $10 a month, which gets you access to all of the pre-recorded videos and playlists for each of the projects. $20 a month gets you access to watching the lessons live in addition to everything before it. And $40 a month gets you access to the Zoom painting sessions that we do twice a week. And then there's other benefits beyond that as well. Hey, Glinda. Oh, thank you so much. Okay, so that's about it for today. Again, thank you so much for watching. I wish you all the very best in all of your artwork. Remember, if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please consider subscribing and help me reach 100,000 subscribers, which hopefully I'll be able to reach sometime in the future. That would be an excellent achievement for me. So thank you so much. I wish you the best, and I will see you on the next one.